Welcome to Myers Counseling Group Podcast. We offer mental health, substance abuse, and wellness information for the community. To find out more information and to access previous podcasts and other resources, visit us at myerscounseling.com. Today we're talking with Patrick. Patrick is a volunteer coordinator and a facilitator for Smart Recovery. Patrick, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit about Smart Recovery?
Sure. Smart Recovery, you can find us at www.smartrecovery.org. ORG is a nonprofit group. We support individuals who desire to abstain or are considering abstinence from any substance or activity addiction. SMART stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. Our program utilizes a collection of scientifically proven techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy, rational and emotive behavioral therapy, as well as some motivational enhancement techniques. Our mission is to offer self-empowering, science-based, face-to-face and online support groups for abstaining from any substance or activity addiction. Currently, we have a little over 650 meetings worldwide and daily online meetings. Our program is abstinence-based. I always like to point out that even though we're abstinence-based, there are times when a person who is new to Smart Recovery may just be considering abstinence. Maybe they're just thinking about that they feel they may have an issue. Someone may have said something, and I find that Smart's a really good place for them to come to because they may not yet be committed to abstaining. And what we do is we can help work with them, and there's different tools that we can use. And one of our points of our 4-point program, and one of the tools from it is a cost-benefit analysis. So we can work with them in the meeting, or they can do it on their own. And this is a tool that can help them look at the pluses and minuses of their behavior and really help them as individuals determine why they desire to choose, if they desire to choose an abstinence recovery path. Then newcomers are invited to attend several Smart Recovery meetings, and then they can kind of get a good feel for it and then see if it is something that they want to continue.
Excellent. What is your position at Smart Recovery? What do you do there?
Okay, well, first, I'm a volunteer facilitator for our Tuesday Chicago meeting. So I help run that meeting, and I rotate with other facilitators to lead our Saturday Chicago meeting. We have a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And I started facilitating back in almost a year ago, and after I'd been facilitating for a while, I got more involved with SMART, and I attended our annual conference. After attending, I was asked if I would be interested in applying to be a regional coordinator. So my other position, and these are all volunteer, not paid, unpaid, is a regional coordinator. And that role is where I just act as a local resource to help promote SMART to the professional communities, and also if there's anyone that may be interested in becoming a facilitator, besides our training, I can just act as a local resource for them.
What types of addictions could people find help for at Smart Recovery?
Everything from alcohol, drugs, gambling, eating disorders, internet, sex, any type of addictive behavior. So any behavior, or smoking, any behavior that someone feels they'd like to abstain from. I always like to point out that when it comes to like internet or sex or even eating, the behavior might actually, this is not a program always of like point thinking, and so in those instances, we're not saying to not have sex or you can't eat, but it might be a specific behavior such as binge eating, or maybe they're putting themselves in, when it comes to sex, in a harmful situation. So maybe they wish to abstain from putting themselves in that harmful situation, or binge eating. So a multitude of different types of behavior addictions.
Do they separate the groups for each addiction, or is everyone together?
Everyone is together. As the tools apply to change behavior, they work regardless of what that behavior is.
How did Smart Recovery get started?
Well, Smart Recovery is an offshoot of what used to be called Rational Recovery. So back in the late 80s and early 90s. But in 1994, Rational Recovery decided to cease offering self-help meetings. And at the time, members of the board of directors of Rational Recovery felt that the self-help meetings were highly important, and so they broke off and created the Smart Recovery program.
Explain a little bit about the differences between Alcoholics Anonymous. I think most people are familiar when they associate 12-step groups and they think about support groups. How does explain a little bit about how that may differ from Alcoholics Anonymous?
Okay. Well, first of all, I always like to point out that many of our attendees participate in both 12-step meetings like AA and SMART. SMART, we see there are many roads to recovery, and having SMART Recovery and other alternate programs available, we feel is really important in order for people to choose a program that best meets their needs and values and beliefs. So basically both programs seek to achieve the same end result, sober and better lives. Smart Recovery's approach varies in a couple different ways. Let's see. First of all, it's self-management. We do not rely on a higher power. There's no higher power requirement. We do not have a powerless concept. We actually work to empower the individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's time limited, so we do not see someone coming into SMART for a lifetime. I mean, we have members. We see someone coming into SMART, learning the tools to help them abstain from their behavior, but we also work on helping them set goals and build the life that they wish to lead. So we see that at some point, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, this person gets to a point where they're empowered and comfortable and have been able to abstain from their behavior, and hopefully that they've been working on building the life they want, and they get to the point that maybe they're just not getting anything else out of the meetings, and they're so busy now in their new life that it's time for them to just move on. So, of course, we always hope that a few people will stay around and become facilitators to help volunteer and expand our meetings. Let's see. Our meetings, another difference between our meetings and 12-step meetings is our meetings are very interactive. So part of a facilitator's role is to help foster discussion between. So it tells us a lot about if anyone's ever been into an intensive outpatient treatment program. So our meetings, again, are very interactive because we do feel that we can learn from each other. And we do not have sponsors, and there's no religious or spiritual requirement. I mean, many of our members are spiritual or religious, but it's really not related to SMART. So whether you are or not, it doesn't make a difference. And one of the key things is we do not use labels such as alcoholic or addict, which when I came to SMART, I personally found that very empowering because I always felt that using a label like an addict the rest of my life could box me in. And so I think that's probably some of the main differences between our programs. But again, the end result is the same. And again, a lot of people go to both for different reasons.
So with AA, you had discussed about how that may be more of an open-ended format, and you're presenting in Smart Recovery. There may be more time limited.
Yeah, again, we see that our goal is to empower someone. And again, they learn when we can help to learn science-backed tools like cognitive behavioral therapy tools that they can use to help them abstain from whatever their behavior. And then at some point they realize that the meetings are not really getting something out of it. They're abstaining. They're very comfortable. They're getting busy in their lives, and really at that point, meetings can just start getting in the way. Because I like one of the things that's nice about SMART is we actually focus on two things, and that is one, abstaining from your behavior, but at the same time, setting goals and building the life that you want to live. So what are your values, and then what do you want to create in your life? So we see someone coming in and they basically learn to abstain. They get so busy in their life that they move on, which is exactly what we see individuals want to do.
Excellent. How do you guys get funded? Are there any dues?
No dues. We do pass a hat at each meeting. We do ask for donations, but there's no requirement though. Our organization as a whole relies on personal donations, group donations, sale of publications, and some foundation and grant funding. Our publications, basically like in our meetings we use a handbook, and our handbook it's not required, but if someone wants to purchase one, usually they sell for around $9 in our meeting. And that is one way that it's very minimal, just a little bit of money. But the handbook is especially helpful to any attendee because it helps them between the meetings, learn all of these tools and do self-studying and get more into the concepts that we go over in our meetings.
Would individuals who are not directly involved in the Smart Recovery groups, would they have access to any of these resources?
Yeah, they do. And if you just go to smartrecovery.org, www.smartrecovery.org, you will see up there along the top, you can click on resources and then all of our publications. And we have a whole list of recommended reading, so recommended books and articles. There's tons of free articles, and all of the tools that we use are available online, free to anyone. And so we do surveys every year, and recently we've done a survey, and a large number of people only attend meetings online because we do have interactive online meetings. And then there's also a large number of people that use the SMART tools and never attend any meetings because it is a self-study type program that you can learn on your own.
You explained or talked a little bit about the 4-point program. Do you mind explaining a little bit more or elaborating on that?
Sure. Smart Recovery provides our 4-point program, and basically point 1 is enhancing and maintaining motivation to abstain. Point 2 is coping with urges. Point 3 is managing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, so we work on problem solving to help make life just a little easier. And point 4 is balancing momentary and enduring satisfaction, so lifestyle balance. So we really work on learning from the beginning to set goals, short-term and long-terms. And all of these points kind of work together because if you're setting goals and you're achieving, like some short-term goals, that helps you build your motivation. And I always like to say that when it comes to recovery, it's really important, there's always there's the thing that you don't want to go back to. People call that a bottom, maybe, or all the consequences. So that's one motivation that's keeping you going. But as time goes by and you move away from those, it's really important to have things that are pulling you forward. And that's one of the things I like about SMART is we really talk about in meetings and work on and focus on setting goals in your life to build the life that you want. So this motivates you and pulls you forward so that you can now focus your attention on staying sober and building the life that you want to live. So that's our 4 points, and under each point, a variety of tools and techniques are used to address those points. So that's one of the things that we do in meetings, and then people do on their own, and they learn and they self-study and they practice and implement these tools to help with the different 4 points.
What happens in a typical meeting? Briefly describe how it may be structured.
Okay. Yeah, our meetings in the city in Chicago, meetings over for SMART can last 60 to 90 minutes. Ours in Chicago, we set them at 75 minutes. They're, again, highly interactive. Participants are encouraged to share their personal experiences during meetings and discuss the tools that help them personally on an ongoing basis, and they then can also help newcomers. And so basically the way our agenda is set up is we have an opening statement and we do a couple of readings to welcome everyone, and then we do a check-in, and this is the time we go around the room and everyone checks in of what's been going on with them in the last week since they've been at the meeting, successes that they've had, challenges that they've had, maybe when it comes to abstaining from the behavior, and maybe discussing successes or challenges they had, any goals that they had set. And then after we do the check-ins, from that we as a group decide, we do agenda setting. So we as a group decide what do we want to go from here. And sometimes what happens is things will come out of the check-ins. Maybe someone has an issue that they're facing that they want help from the group. Let's say maybe they have a part coming up this weekend and they're new in recovery and they're not really sure what to do or how to say no, or maybe alcohol is what they're trying to abstain from. So there's different tools. We can do role playing, we can do brainstorming as a group. So the group will work together. A lot of times also the facilitator will come with a tool in mind or an article that kind of discusses some of our techniques and tools. And so we'll go through those. Sometimes we'll have handouts that we can use to work as a group. But usually it comes from our check-in. So that's called our working time. So we work on that. And then at the end of the meeting, we do pass a hat. um, and do basically a checkout where we basically kind of have one last little check-in from everybody to see maybe what they're going to work on or what they got out of the meeting. And then afterwards, if people want to stay and socialize, and just hang out, we a lot of times do so.
What are some tools that you do that you could utilize in the meeting?
Sure. Yeah, we have a lot of different tools, and again, all of these are available on our website, smartrecovery.org. In addition to the one I talked about earlier called the cost-benefit analysis, which is great for someone who's thinking about it or someone who is new in recovery, where you're listing the pros and cons of using against the pros and cons of stopping, abstaining. And it's a really good way to help build your motivation. We also use what's called the change plan worksheet, and this is where someone can actually, write down what it is they're actually wanting to change. We have hierarchy of values. This is where you help identify what your values are to help you then set goals so you can build the life that you want to live. We work on ABCs of rational and motor behavioral therapy, which is both used for urge coping and emotional upsets. This is where we look at our thinking and challenge our beliefs. Another tool we have is called Disarm, Destructive Images, Self-Talk Awareness, and Refusal Method. So these are tools within Disarm and techniques that you can use, like if you have that voice in your head that says, now's a good time to go get a drink or to get high. We also use the tool of brainstorming and role play rehearsing.
You had mentioned before, and we talked a little bit about the differences between Alcoholics Anonymous and Smart Recovery, and we talked a little bit as well about the length of time somebody may spend in Smart Recovery versus AA. Are people, is it typical for people to come in for a booster session if they've stopped going to Smart Recovery, feel they've gotten some benefits from it? At a later point, is it possible for them to return to Smart Recovery for a booster session?
Well, sure, anyone can return at any time, and we always like to see anyone walk back through the door. And I in my meetings, I have people come back in. We have one of our members who's been coming to meetings for a couple of years. Basically doesn't come that often anymore, but now and then likes to just kind of check back in. He's been sober over, he had different things he was abstaining from. I think cocaine, he's been in sober 4 years, and alcohol 2 years. And that's always great, and it's always great for our new members to see someone come back. But then also sometimes we get people that maybe are starting to feel a little shaky. Maybe they have some new challenges in their life, so they kind of want to come back in just for a little booster reminder about all the tools and techniques, And so anyone's welcome to come at any time. And again, it's all up to the individual. It's all about choices, and so you decide, if it's helpful to you. So, and it's also because it's not about the number of meetings that you attend. This is about the tools that you learn to help empower you. So, we're not tracking your attendance by any means. If you've got something going on and you have to miss a meeting, you have to miss a meeting. So people come and go, and again, the time length, it just varies. I mean, someone might only come for 3 months and get what they need out of it. Someone could come 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's really up to the individual.
And another thing I want to point out is your availability of online support groups. I think that's a very unique feature that Smart Recovery offers.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Mark. Yeah, it's excellent. We have meetings all the time online. So these are live meetings that you go into basically an online room with other attendees, and the meeting is ran just like with the same agenda as I talked about. And some of these are actually, if you have a speaker, the speakers and a microphone, they can hear you, you can hear them. And then some of them are, of course, just typing. And it's a very powerful system that we utilize online, and I have attendees that utilize both face-to-face meetings and online. It's also a great tool if someone is traveling. But also, besides the online meetings, we also have message boards that you can go into at any time and just read and obtain tons of information. They're searchable. You can type a question, and usually within minutes, there's someone online that's giving you, helping to support you and giving you some answers. Those boards are staffed by volunteers 24/7. We also have chat rooms available 24/7, again staffed by volunteers. So if you just need to talk to someone, you can go into those rooms and start typing away. And so what I like about Smart is I really feel like we cover a lot of the bases when it comes to alternatives to support a person trying to abstain. So face-to-face, online meetings, chat rooms, message boards, self-study materials, etc.
You cover all mediums.
I'm sorry?
I said you cover all mediums, all forms of mediums and communication.
Yeah, we try to. Yeah, we try to. And we're always looking. I mean, that's what's nice about SMART. I call it like an open platform, and that is where, again, it's science-based, so we're always looking at all the new research coming out. We're constantly evaluating and seeing if there's new tools that we can incorporate and bring into SMART. We're always looking at the ones that we utilize and seeing their efficacy, any materials that we can provide to our members. So I do like the open platform and any type of, we are looking at different systems. We've talked about apps. I mean, we're looking at any type of support that we can provide to help someone abstain.
Are there any support groups that you would have available for family members through Smart Recovery?
We do. Via our online community, we have a message board forum for concerned significant others, so friends and families, and we have a weekly online meeting for family and friends on Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Our family and friends meetings combine Smart Recovery tools and craft concepts. So again, if you go to smartrecovery.org, from our main page, you will see on the left-hand side, it will talk about resources for family and friends. And so there's some great books that are available that you can utilize besides these message forums and this Monday night online meeting.
Great, Patrick. Other thoughts about Smart Recovery? You think it would be helpful for people to know about it?
The only last thing I always like to point out is, SMART is really starting to take off here in Chicago, and our meetings are starting to grow, and we call this one of the things is people are asking for more meetings, and we call it the facilitator bottleneck, and so we're looking for more facilitators all the time, and anyone can be a facilitator, and so if anyone's interested, we have what's called a distance training program. All the information is available online from our main page. We're in the midst of reformatting our training because our demand has been increasing, and so for our facilitator training. And it's a new program which utilizes a Moodle distance training platform where participants can read all of the materials and watch all of our training videos online. We have all these different segments, and then we have 2 live meetings that the group, everyone that's going to training at the current time, work through together. So the training includes 2 online voice meetings, one to role-play a Smart Recovery meeting and the other at the close of the program with the president of Smart Recovery to answer any questions or concerns. So if anyone out there is interested, we're always looking for more facilitators to help us start new meetings. And I think that's probably it.
Patrick, I want to thank you for participating in today's podcast. A link to Smart Recovery is on my website, and in addition, we'll have a link to your website with this podcast. But once again, if you don't mind relaying the contact information, how people may get a hold of you.
Sure. The best way is just to send an email to Smart Chicago North, so SmartChicagoNorth@gmail.com. You can also just go to our website, smartrecovery.org, click on meetings and face-to-face meetings, and click on Illinois, and you'll see a listing of all of our meetings here in Illinois and also the contact phone and email.
Okay, go ahead.
The other thing is we also have a Facebook page, a national, so if you just go on Facebook and look up Smart Recovery, you can like Smart Recovery, and then you'll get updates regarding Smart Recovery nationally.
Once again, Patrick, I'd like to thank you for your time today and the helpful information you provided about Smart Recovery. Thank you very much.